Hi, it's me. Are you a nun? Not a nun like, a Catholic or Buddhist nun, sister. I'm talking about none, None. I mean, if you were to complete a survey from, say, the Gallup or Pew Research people, and on the form, it asked you what your religious affiliation was, and then there'd be a list of religious organizations, Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, Jewish, etc. And then down at the very bottom is a box labeled none of the above. So many people check that bottom one today that now they've just come to be called the nuns. These are simply people who don't identify with any traditional religious affiliation. Now, maybe that's closer to you than anything else. You just don't feel like you belong to a specific religion, but you still believe in something. You might even call something spiritual. Well, that's probably where I'd go. Probably I'm spiritual, but not religious. Because I'm really just not affiliated with any one religious tradition. And that group, that none group, has been growing substantially over the past few decades. Books have been written with titles like The Rise of the Nuns and others. There are also a great number of books sometimes referring to this group of nuns as the unchurched, or, if they've left an established church, the de-church. Well, according to Pew, the Pew Research people, as of 2024, about 13% of the nuns believe in the God of the Bible. But whatever you call it, an organized religious establishment is just not for them. They aren't rejecting faith. They're just not finding it in a church. This trend of leaving church may be rapidly growing, but it's far from new. Back in the 1940s, Bill Wilson, the founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, was asked if AA was religious, and he said it's more spiritual than religious. He believed that in order to achieve a lasting sobriety, which was pretty much considered impossible at the time, people had to surrender to some power greater than themselves, but without the rules and the dogma that might actually be holding them back. As a matter of fact, that's where the very phrase, spiritual but not religious, came from. And now it's everywhere. It came from Bill W. Paul McCartney, of the Beatles' remarkable fame and influence, was once asked a similar question at the height of his popularity in the 1960s. And he said, "I'm not religious, but I am very spiritual." Now, religion and spirituality are not actually two different things, but often they can be. They show up that way. But for a long time, religion and spirituality were really considered to be pretty much the same thing. In fact, if you look up those two words in a dictionary, the definitions are just about identical. All of this points to something important. More and more people are moving away from traditional religion and toward a more personal, heartfelt spirituality. Now, I'm not here to bash anyone's personal choice of how they embrace their own personal spiritual or religious side. For me, God, Allah, or spirit or higher power, in the end, those are just words. And the consciousness that we're embracing, the divine, if you will, is beyond words. It's in the experience of our own spiritual life. So the important thing is this. If whatever you're doing now, if you go to a church, or if you're in a religious or spiritual community online, or if you just kind of navigate through a variety of spiritual experiences on your own. If whatever you're doing is working for you, for goodness sake, just keep doing that. Cultivating spirituality, this organization, may just be something you want to add to whatever it is that you're currently doing. And that's perfectly fine. What we do here rarely conflicts with central beliefs in whatever path you're on. And if you want to start here, you are more than welcome to make this your spiritual home. Mahatma Gandhi strongly believed that to attempt to motivate somebody to switch from whatever religion they're currently in to another one, especially yours, is a flawed and potentially harmful approach. And I have to agree. What you are longing for probably already exists in the very religion you're already in, although you might have to dig a little to uncover it. We humans often let labels get in the way of our spiritual growth, and nothing could be more counterproductive than that. None of that has anything to do with how we personally accept and experience our spirituality. Whether you call it religious or spiritual, it's usually the same thing. So in the end, it really doesn't matter. The word spirituality just tends to have less family or cultural baggage that religion does, as Bill W. undoubtedly discovered back in the mid-1930s. A lot of people who are leaving church, the nuns, are not walking away from God. They're walking away from systems that talk about God, systems that no longer help them feel connected with the divine. They still long to embody a deeper meaning, for belonging, for spiritual truth. Most churches are really hurting from this growing de-churching movement. And they're trying all kinds of things, working really hard to bring people back in. But I don't think they're coming back. I think they've moved on. They're looking for something else, the next step. And that's what all this de-churching data is showing us. But it's not about better music or more engaging sermons or guest speakers or any of that. The problem is deeper. It's just that the reasons for the de-churching decline are actually built into the traditional church model and have been for a long, long time. But that model just hasn't been working very well these days for people. It's as though there's been sort of an evolution past that. Now, many de-churchers feel at odds with science and how that now clearly conflicts with religious doctrine. For example, evolution, sexual orientation, birth control, same-sex marriage, how old our planet actually demonstrably is, and what its place in the universe is. And of course, even what God actually is. And so people are just looking for what's next. And interestingly, young people are leading the way. They often feel established church doctrine is more smothering than nurturing. Did you know that today, when young people graduate high school, 70% stop attending church and start leaving? That's just what all these research and surveys are showing us. The data also shows that today, about 1 in 6 Americans is a nun. Not because they don't believe in God, but because their experience of God doesn't come from a church, from any church anymore. So what now? Your spiritual path is yours, and it's valid. At Cultivating Spirituality, we're here for people like you, people who still believe and still seek and long for what could be called home, which is what we call it here. We believe that home isn't a building, a house, or a doctrine. It's the deep place inside you where you feel your spiritual life calling to you. Remember the 1939 movie, The Wizard of Oz? Dorothy spent the whole movie just trying to get home. But, spoiler alert, in the end she found out she had the power to go home, to return there, all along. That's the journey we're all on. Not trying to run away to something, trying to find our way back home. You already carry what you need. We just help you learn how to use it. I understand the feelings of de-churched nuns today, because I am one myself. I'm a minister ordained in 2 different religious organizations. And yet here I am, de-churched. Also, here I am offering a helping hand to people just like me. So, if that resonates with you, check out the links below. Join our daily email. There's no cost, there's nothing to buy, we're not selling anything. We're just here to accompany you as you grow from where you are to where you're being called. Because in the end, there's no place like home. See you next time.